So when we're supposed to be regulating these companies in Silicon Valley and breaking them up, he's putting someone who's their lobbyist in charge of doing just not that, to making sure that doesn't happen. Ron Klain joins. So this is Third Way. You know, Third Way is the corporatists who call themselves Democrats, right? Well, that's most Democrats, but they're explicitly corporatists and Wall Street approved. And there you go. They got the right-wing Democrat seal of approval. So that would be the right-wing corporatist wing of the Democratic Party, the Third Way, explicitly anyway. The whole Democratic Party's right-wing, except for like 6 people. Warren Gunnels, is Bernie Sanders' policy wonk, says the ideas Wall Street Democrats at Third Way have pushed. So just to let you know who Third Way Democrats are who are cool with Joe Biden's chief of staff, this is what they've pushed in the past. Opposition to a 15-hour federal minimum wage. They've pushed cuts to Social Security and Medicare. They've pushed Wall Street deregulation. They've pushed job-killing trade deals, and they've opposed Medicare drug price negotiations. Wow. That's who the Third Way is, who's cool with Joe Biden's chief of staff, just so you know. Just so you know, this guy's on the wrong side of everything, making him very much, well, like Joe Biden. I guess Joe Biden wants to pick people with as many skeletons in their closet as he does. And let me tell you, White House is going to need more closet space, folks. Here he is. This is him. This is a tweet from him. This is a tweet from him, February 13th, 2020. This is a tweet from him, Joe Biden's new chief of staff. You want to hear what it is? He says, we don't have a COVID-19 epidemic in the United States, but we are starting to see a fear epidemic. Sounds like Trump, huh? Sounds like a good corporatist from Wall Street, right? That's him. That's Joe Biden's chief of staff. We listen to the science. There he is. Kudos to New York City mayor and others for standing against that. So what he's tweeting out is Mayor de Blasio, it was my honor to spend time with our Asian American-owned small businesses in Flushing today. So they're not wearing masks. They're not social distancing. He's saying, don't be afraid of COVID, which was the wrong thing to do. And here he is saying there isn't a COVID pandemic. That's him saying in February. Why? Because that's what Wall Street told him to say. And now he is advising the President of the United States. He's the chief of staff. Wow. So it's just like you're getting Larry Kudlow? Is that the same thing as getting Larry Kudlow? Is that the same thing as getting Steve Mnuchin in your cabinet? I would say. So we're okay. Breaking news, President-elect Joe Biden is said to have chosen Ron Klain to be his chief of staff. AOC retweets this. Are you ready? Good news and an encouraging choice, she says. She forgot to ask, good news if you're a bank or a pharmaceutical company or a Silicon Valley billionaire or, I don't know, a fracker. Or somebody who's in asbestos. It's good news for them. Bad news for everybody else, AOC. Wow. Good news for banks. Good news for banks and corporations. What in the fuck does she get out of tweeting something like that? What do you get out of pretending Joe Biden's corporatists are not what they are? I don't know. She's getting something out of it. You tell me what. What did they get out of voting for the CARES Act? She got something out of that, too. You tell me. So Trump announced he's appointing, he fired Mark Esper, the guy from Raytheon, who was a defense secretary, and he replaced him with this guy. Trump administration installs advocate for quick Afghanistan withdrawal at the Pentagon. This is an article written by Ryan Brown and Barbara Starr for CNN. This is a fantastic article. Watch this. So Trump, here, let's get into it. McGregor's appointment is the latest in a series of sweeping changes at the Pentagon that has put defense officials on edge. What? The defense officials are McGregor and the president. Those are your defense officials. The guy who's now in charge of the Pentagon and the commander-in-chief. McGregor's appointment is the latest in a series of sweeping changes at the Pentagon that has put defense officials on edge and fueled a growing sense of alarm among military and civilian officials who are concerned about what could come next. You mean a withdrawal of our troops? That's what they're concerned about. I wonder why they're concerned about that. Oh, that's right, because they all are seeking jobs in the military-industrial complex as soon as they leave the Pentagon. Because they're all crazy warmongers, right? Yeah. But CNN doesn't tell you that. CNN acts like they're a bunch of concerned people, like, oh my God, if we stop doing war, that'll be bad. CNN is trying to make this seem reckless. Withdrawing from a 20-year war. CNN and their two writers took two people to write this. Ryan Brown and Barbara Starr are here to let you know that us getting out of Afghanistan is reckless and people are scared and worried about it. And why are they writing this? Because they were told to write it this way because they're sponsored by the military-industrial complex and Wall Street. That's why. So Trump actually signaling he might follow through on a campaign promise of ending these wars, which everybody wants, except people who have financial interest in it, like CNN writers. 4 senior Pentagon officials have been fired or have resigned since Monday, including Defense Secretary Mark Esper, who was fired in a tweet by President Donald Trump. Esper's chief, Mark Esper came right from Raytheon and is an unbelievably lying warmonger. Mark Esper's chief of staff and the top officials overseeing policy and intelligence. McGregor has been a vocal opponent of the U.S. military's mission in Afghanistan and has called for a total withdrawal of U.S. troops and the American embassy. Now that's what he has called for. Watch how CNN writes this. They go, he's called for a total withdrawal of troops and the American embassy despite the continued presence of terrorist groups there. So, according to CNN, Ryan Brown, we're supposed to stay in Afghanistan until there's no more terrorism. What do you mean? Terrorism where? You mean in somebody else's country? You mean people who live in Afghanistan still live in Afghanistan? So we have to stay there forever, Ryan Brown, CNN? Yes, that's what Ryan Brown, CNN is saying. That he's doing his duty as a good little tool of the bought CNN from the military-industrial complex. He's making you think that it's a bad idea to end the Afghanistan war because there's still terrorist groups there. What? Did the CIA actually just grab your hand and put it on the pad as you type this? Ryan Brown, did the CIA actually do that for you? Was someone from Raytheon typing this for you? Knowledgeable sources told CNN's Jake Tapper. Knowledgeable sources, just nobody. They just made up shit. Knowledgeable sources told CNN's. God, this is no sourcing. This would be one of those things that Twitter would ban, except it goes for the war machine, so Twitter won't ban this. They would ban this if it was negative against the war machine, saying there's no sourcing. But if there's no sourcing and it's an aid of the war machine, then that's okay. So knowledgeable sources told CNN's Jake Tapper on Tuesday that the White House directed purge at the Defense Department may have been motivated by the fact that Esper and his team were, are you ready for this? Pushing back on a premature withdrawal from Afghanistan. It's been 19 fucking years, Ryan and Brown. CNN. It's been 19 fucking years we're in that country, killing people for profit. 19 years we're in someone else's country. A generation. 2 straight decades, killing people on the regular. I don't know if you read the Afghanistan papers, but everybody knows that it's a joke and we don't know what we're doing there at all. We're only there because military-industrial complex is making money off it. But somebody told Ryan Brown over at CNN this. He's saying it would be premature. Their sources say it would be premature to withdraw from Afghanistan. Okay, let me read the whole paragraph. Right? Knowledgeable sources told CNN's Jake Tapper on Tuesday that the White House directed purge at the Defense Department may have been motivated by the fact that Esper and his team were pushing back on a premature withdrawal from Afghanistan that would be carried out before the required conditions on the ground were met and other pending security issues. So do you see how CNN and Ryan Brown is writing this? As if it's irresponsible. How dare you stop doing war in Afghanistan? That we haven't met our there's pending security issues. Another 20 years, says CNN. This is garbage. That's a garbage reporter. This is a garbage article. And CNN is garbage. U.S. military officials have long stressed, this is from the CNN article, have long stressed that the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan is condition-based. We've all agreed on this. Everybody agrees that we have to stay in Afghanistan. Everybody agreed. Look, we've long agreed. This is CNN saying this. This isn't CNN quoting someone. This is CNN saying this. This is Ryan Brown, the guy who wrote this, saying this. No one fucking said this. This is them saying this. U.S. military officials have long stressed that the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan is condition-based, with those conditions including the Taliban's breaking its ties to al-Qaeda and making progress in peace talks with the Afghan government. 2 conditions that have yet to be met, so we have to keep staying there, says Ryan Brown from CNN. He's not quoting anyone. That's him saying that. But despite the lack of progress, the Trump administration has already substantially reduced U.S. troops in the country by more than 50. Do you see this framing that they're doing in this article? But despite the lack of progress in Afghanistan, hey, we didn't make any progress, and Trump is already reducing our numbers of troops there. We've only been there for 20 years. We haven't made any progress, and Trump is now going to withdraw troops. Again, they're not quoting anyone. This is written directly from the brain of the CNN reporter, stenographer, propagandist, Ryan Brown, and whoever that woman's name was. Because they can't have one person can't write a bullshit propaganda piece. It takes at least 2 people to get this amount of propaganda in one article. This is fucking stunning, isn't it? Despite the lack of progress, the Trump administration has already substantially reduced that. Shame on them. We haven't made progress yet, that damn Trump administration. They're so reckless. The Trump administration has already substantially reduced U.S. troops in the country by more than 50%, bringing the number of U.S. military personnel there down to about 4,500, the lowest level since the earliest days of the post-9/11. That's a good thing. You fucking tool on purpose at CNN. Trump's national security advisor, Robert O'Brien, has advocated for a more accelerated withdrawal from Afghanistan, irrespective of conditions. And guess what? That's the right move. So they're trying to make, again, this is CNN trying to make peace look reckless. Ending a war that's been going on for 20 years for no reason. If you read the Afghanistan papers, they have no idea what they're doing at any point, at any time. Do they know what they're doing? They don't even know who their enemy is. And they all know this, and they keep doing the war anyway. Why? So they're upset. The people at CNN are upset that Trump's national security advisor wants to withdraw troops from Afghanistan, irrespective of the conditions on the ground. Something